Hey there, it is Phil Ratcliffe with Rebel Financial, and thanks for joining us again today for our weekly live broadcast. Today we have Michael Cowan here. He is with IC3D. He and I met a long time ago at a conference, Path to Agility, which most people may not know what it is, but a cool thing of forward thinkers, of people trying to build awesome things, and Michael's still doing it now, driving forward the maker movement. So thanks for being here. First of all, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation.
Very much appreciate it. So give us a little bit of background because you came up a kind of a traditional route, mechanical engineering, went to a huge automaker, and now you're in this innovative entrepreneurial field. So tell us a little bit about how that happened.
Yeah, it started when I finished school 2003 and moved up here to Ohio to work in the automotive industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked for Honda, and
Okay.
at the time, Honda had just gotten their first couple 3D printers at a commercial scale, and that was my first taste in the possibilities with this technology. So I was a young engineer designing plastic parts.
So it was like 16 years ago, so that's pretty early in the printing of things. So that's before I bet most people had even heard that it was a possibility, right?
Yeah, probably.
And so you liked it. You were like, hey, this is cool. This could be some part of the future.
Yeah. So fast forward to 2011, 12.
Mm-hmm.
The whole open source desktop 3D printing world kind of started, exploding.
Mm-hmm.
And so I immediately jumped on that and just started designing and building printers in my basement.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then you said at a certain point, I could make a business out of this, right? And you already had the background. Because automakers are probably one of the bigger users of that, right, too? So that they can make certain parts. And I guess I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but I've read the articles, obviously, the more popular, like Tesla, like they're printing a lot of their parts or whatever the case. But now you had that background and that knowledge to apply to doing all kinds of different things, right?
Yeah. With automotive, it's been a tool to prototype,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can design and iterate faster, right? Solve problems quicker,
Mm-hmm.
react faster. But then now, as the 3D printing hardware matures, and there's a bigger variety of them, and there's more and more high performance materials,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually 3D print functional parts, and so people are. Especially low volume products,
Mm-hmm.
like the Tesla you mentioned and other things,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to just 3D printing for their production method, right?
That's awesome. So, just for people that aren't as familiar, what can you make with a 3D printer?
So I'm wary to say anything, but in the world of 3D printing,
Mm-hmm.
there are people printing with food. There are people printing, concrete to make buildings. There are all kinds of metal 3D printing. There's jet engine parts
Mm-hmm.
that are certified by the FAA.
Wow.
There are turbocharger housings,
Mm-hmm.
metal, that are in production. There are bio printing, people printing tissue.
Yeah, I saw that somebody trying to print a heart,
Yeah.
or a valve or something like that, and it's like that's amazing that you can do that. Yeah.
Or organoids,
Uh-huh.
where you're printing sort of synthetic organs to
Mhm.
do testing, right? So
Okay.
you don't have to use animals or humans or
Yeah.
and of course we print all kinds of stuff from toys for charity to tooling and jigs and fixtures for large manufacturers.
Well, that's awesome. So you mentioned that. So tell us a little bit about what the toys that you made and this project that's kind of the video going on in the background.
Yeah, I mean, although I'd love to be printing toys all day, that's
You gotta pay the bills.
currently a small part of our time. This was a dream of one of our partners
Mm-hmm.
a few years ago, and through a lot of meetings and back and forth with Toys for Tots, which is run by the Marine Corps Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
We finally executed on this last December, and it was using this technology to kind of for the good.
Yeah.
But it was also an experiment in distributed manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
So we produce the material in Columbus, and then we ship out that filament
Mm-hmm.
to volunteers across the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
and they're essentially donating their machine time, right?
That's
So
awesome.
you're
So the
you're
energy
using
and
this
the time.
manufacturing
Yeah.
network
Yeah.
from whether it's in a makerspace or a school or just a person in their basement
Enthusiast.
to make to manufacture toys. And so we got all those back, and then we donated to Toys for Tots.
That's awesome. And you said this year you're trying to scale it up even bigger.
Yeah,
I might have to participate on that. So,
yeah.
like, this is like, we had our prop here because I'm one of those enthusiasts. So I have a couple printers and I have filament. And this is one of the main things that you guys make, right? And you know, made in the USA, and even better, made in Columbus, right? So, that's awesome. So, I'll have to get on your list or what. So maybe. Can't make a bunch, but a little bit, and then be cool for my kids to participate in that way as well. Awesome. So what types of printers are there? I think you named some of them when we were just talking about what can you print. And then I guess that kind of goes along with cutting too, so maybe explain that. I know this is very simple, and but half the people that may listen to this just don't know as much. Yeah,
so out of all those different types of 3D printing, we are primarily using plastics. And two main reasons why we decided to kind of stick with this particular process is, for one, it is lower cost than 3D printing metal. Lower cost, more mature, it's been around for the longest. But the second major reason is because there are a lot more material choices. There's flexible things, there's plastics made from corn, renewable resource. There are plastics that are composites with carbon fiber, glass. So you can get really interesting, a wide variety of properties with plastics.
So in that respect, why would people or businesses print? And I think we kind of touched on it, but like to make it a little bit more overt, why would people print rather than just buying it or buying the mass manufactured things or just trying to look on something from Amazon or whatever the case?
I guess there's two perspectives I have for that question. Like, one is from the consumer. So if you're the consumer, you have a choice of buying something from a big box store or printing something. Well, sometimes there's just what you can buy is very limited to what someone is selling.
Even though it's more than ever, there's still, you've got to buy something that's prefabbed.
So now, more and more so, you can go online and legally download some free data that somebody's made and hit print. And you have that without really going anywhere. Right? From the manufacturer side, I think the world's going more towards low volume customized products on demand. Large companies are challenged with having to release new products faster and faster to compete with all these other, I'll say, startups that are able to more affordably release products now. And so everyone, small or large, is looking for more solutions to make products faster, locally, lower cost. So 3D printing has been a solution to that.
Because it was a couple years ago when I was reading when reshoring was becoming a thing, bringing it back. And it wasn't because it was less expensive, it was because it was faster. And in the age of you need to prototype faster and get things out, it was actually more profitable to be here, even though you had to pay more to be here. So, and that seems like a similar offshoot of that.
So reshoring is a humongous topic in manufacturing for a variety of reasons. There's the most recent ones are tariffs, right? That's a big reason. The general labor cost of overseas increasing. Minimum wages.
Good.
All over.
Not just more people to sell to eventually.
Right. The whole Buy American kind of stuff, and so reshoring is definitely a big part of the adoption.
Well, when you and I were talking before we started this, you brought up an interesting point which I hadn't heard before, but it'd be nice, I think, if we reiterated that when you said, all right, we're mainly printing in plastic. That's not good for the environment. But so tell them what you told me. I thought that was a really good thing.
So some people think, 3D printing's promoting the use of plastic. There's more stuff or waste going into landfills. But if you think about the whole picture, you're currently getting things mass produced overseas or wherever. There's a lot of waste in those facilities. There's a lot of waste in the packaging to get it from one factory to another, one warehouse to another, stored in some gigantic warehouse somewhere, and then shipped to you with all that styrofoam and the plastic baggie and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Even the plastic that's printed onto cardboard, for your very fancy TV or whatever. And so now you think of the raw materials that go into 3D printing. You're able to efficiently pack a bunch of material in a box, have it shipped, locally wherever, convert it into filament, which is very little waste, and then you're printing your product.
That's what you need.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Because
and sorry, let alone all the fossil fuels in that whole supply chain that are consumed.
So I mean, so even though you may say, oh, it's plastic, and not even counting the you said you could make it out of biomass as well too, but that it's probably a fraction of the waste in that respect, and mainly the plastic is because it's so versatile and safer, right? You only have to get a certain temperature rather than 1,000 degrees or where you could really hurt or burn down your house or whatever the case. Well, cool. So one of the questions that I had, and we may have to do a sub question from it, is is business embracing the maker movement? And it's interesting to me just a little bit, just because the Honda was doing stuff in 2003 and 4, right? So that's a number one question. But I guess maybe we need to step back just a second and maybe define maker and what is the maker movement, let's say.
Yeah, I guess the maker spaces, maker movement is just all about DIY and just the person being, learning or being able to exercise the ability to make something, whether it's I'll say lower tech, like carving wood or sewing or kind of crafting, to anything with electronics, soldering, programming, 3D printing, CNC routing, that kind of stuff. I think it's about independence.
Yeah, I like it. It's interesting though, because it's obviously we're kind of kindred spirits in the fact that we like to build things and do things, and DIY. It's interesting because I used to just say that a lot, with just who doesn't know what DIY is? But I can tell you, man, a third of some of my older clients don't know what DIY is, and I'd be like, do it yourself, and then they think back to those old shows where the HGTV where they're renovating this old house or whatever. Oh yeah, do it yourself, paint your own house or whatever. And so this is just an evolution of that, right?
We're growing up as the Ace Hardware stores and that kind of stuff, promoting all the DIY. Yeah. But now it's kind of more into the younger crowd.
You just think about all the cool things you could do. It's one of the big raves from younger people I see is them wanting to make those customized phone cases and stuff like that, and you can make it yourself now, and that's awesome. And I mean, I think about how many things that I build and fix, and how many times I go to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, and it's just I need to get better at just making my own parts for stuff that I need, like a plastic cap for plumbing, or if I could make wire nuts for electrical, or that would be awesome to just be able to make those things. And maybe I can, and I just haven't researched into doing it. But that would be awesome. Save me some time too. So, what's your vision for IC3D? Where do you see you guys going?
Yeah. So we're trying to figure out this thing that we haven't really seen yet, and it's about advanced manufacturing. We picture a large facility with lots of machines that are highly automated, highly versatile, that can produce one thing for this industry or 100,000 things for another industry. Yeah. So the whole thing about that is just bringing down the costs for manufacturing. Sure. So kind of what we say internally is we're trying to democratize manufacturing. Whether it's with the material that we're producing or the service that we're providing, you're able to bring that bar much lower for someone to get into making their own product.
That's awesome.
Right? Yeah. So on a higher level, kind of what we say internally is we say unlocking human potential. So we kind of imagine the random cross section across the world of 100 people. 10 years ago, what is the chance that a person could could have a good idea for something, and I think it's 100%. But then what is the percentage that actually can execute something? I think it's very low because of a lot of things. Obviously, financial reasons. Yep. There's resources, like where are you located? Mm-hmm. Are you in the middle of nowhere, Montana, or are you, in Columbus, where there's a lot of machine shops,
infrastructure, and people.
Yeah, people and marketing and so forth. Are you in a place where there's good schools or whatnot? So there's a lot of things. But with 3D printing and other technologies like open source and of course the internet and all this free education, a person can really manufacture anywhere much cheaper. You can get a few $100 3D printer, and
play with it.
And you can get free CAD software as long as you're connected to the internet, whatever, and design whatever, free courses on design. So you can literally think of something, design it up, and manufacture it.
That's awesome.
For extremely low cost. And you can make one or you can make thousands.
Yeah. And I think that's a very interesting thing because, that's the difference between you doing a higher volume of stuff versus like the general manufacturing plants is you're running off of very similar CAD software. So if somebody makes an awesome prototype, they have an idea, then they could basically just give you the files that they made and you could make a whole bunch more for less. Right?
So we can supply them with the materials to do it themselves, which is fine.
But they're just not going to have the volume and they invest tons.
Yeah,
right?
Or like you might come up with a product, but you don't want to get into manufacturing. You want to get into marketing or design of next products, and we would help you with making that product.
Cool. So going a step back and forward, what do you see or what do you hope will happen kind of with the industry and with individuals realizing their potential going forward?
I think with the industry, it's sort of, in terms of applications for 3D printing, like practical applications, I think it's still a little bit of the Wild Wild West out there. There's really cool applications, but they're kind of isolated to companies just trying stuff on their own. There's not a lot of data out there. There's not a lot of public know-how necessarily, and there's more companies releasing really cool materials and types of 3D printers.
But you just don't know.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of trial and error right now, which is a lot of fun. In discovering those new applications.
It's just not as efficient.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will evolve to where the people that are trying will share their knowledge and it gets more systematized in terms of, you want to do this, here's the two best things to use.
Along with that, we got the world's first open source materials certification, which means that it's like, what does that mean? Why is that important? Usually materials like filament and other things are very closed. It's hard to take a tour of a factory making this stuff because everyone's very guarded.
Gotcha.
It's
trade secrets.
Trade secrets, know-how, and so forth. And usually that's the only thing they make. The way we view things is we've released a paper on how we make our film. For example, the model numbers of the equipment, the settings, where the resin comes from, and the reason why is because we think that if more people are making materials, then that industry just gets like a bigger library of materials to choose from, and that helps everyone. That helps our business too. That helps our printing service and applications business.
Plus, people know the quality of what you make as well too, because it's kind of transparent.
Yeah.
And then it's more, I guess, when they're buying from you, it's probably two things. First of all, personally, I'm the type of person I'd like to do business with people that I trust, and doing some things like that to trust somebody first is pretty cool. But then beyond that is probably the discipline and the process that you go through to make sure that it's quality. And I remember when we talked like 2.5 years ago, you told me, you buy a lot of these and you can get cheaper, but they won't seal them, and they might, the process may not have been pure or has variability or whatever the case, whereas like you try to ensure that quality as well too, right?
Yeah.
Well, tell us how people, I think we have a little bit, but just to kind of solidify it in there, how people can use your company or services or products.
Yeah, so we work mainly with larger manufacturers right now. That just happens to be our largest customer base. These are big auto suppliers. These are big manufacturers in aerospace or appliances or whatever. But we also work with a lot of, just that the inventor guy or person in their basement having a napkin sketch and wanting to, take his or her go at a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So if you already do 3D printing, we sell materials. We do a lot of sponsorships to schools and school projects and nonprofits.
So you run some robotic club or something, right?
Yeah, we volunteer time and materials, just advice to FRC, robotics.
So that's the passion side of your business. The big things are to pay the bills and to get all the good equipment and to further your all's knowledge and big production. And then that's probably the smaller guy side is probably the passion side of let's make something better, right? Yeah,
if you have a large factory, it's helping the customer figure out, all right, can we make your manufacturing lower cost? Can we make your R&D process lower cost and faster? And make you more competitive?
Win-win.
And so it's figuring out how to do that with this technology. Yeah.
So any last thoughts, advice, wisdom to share with everyone before we close it down for today?
I guess we spend most of our time just trying to work on a new problem where solutions may not be around, or at least they're not published and we don't know about them. And so it's a lot of just back and forth with the customer trying to figure it out. Someone will just come up and say, hey, I don't know anything about 3D printing. This is my current thing. I can't afford this, or it's taking too long. And it's just helping them figure that out. So definitely don't think that you got to know a certain amount of info about 3D printing before.
Don't be intimidated. Yeah. And if you think something might work, they can come ask you.
Yeah.
And you can tell them whether it would work or not.
Yeah. If I have a minute to talk about this philanthropy.
Go for it.
Yeah. So this is a few years in the making. Again, one of our guys had this idea, finally executed it. So last year was our first go at it, and it was highly successful. We got a little nice tent TV spot here. Got really good feedback from the Marine Corps Reserve folks, and so
the kids liked them.
Yeah. It was just really cool to not just get a toy, but to see like a new process and kind of think and figure out how something was made or how it works or how it was put together. To kind of just inspire kids. And so this year, we're gonna definitely grow it. This is pretty much our annual philanthropy, and we're just starting earlier. And this year we talked about incorporating a design portion into this. So we're gonna have an open design contest.
That's cool.
For the toy. Like the toy of 2019, sort of. Last year we just purchased a model, from some site and used that. We thought it'd be cool to have that design aspect. So we're trying to.
And it'll be something unique.
And so we're trying to figure out all the design criteria, like no sharp things that can fall off and be swallowed. And we're also gonna grow, increase the number of people that are involved in terms of the 3D printing elves, as we call them, right? The folks in the U.S.
That's a good name.
There are already dozens signed up to volunteer machine time. So we would send material out to those folks with a certain file and say, please print 10 of these or whatever, and we get them shipped back, and then
that's awesome.
We donate them.
Is there a sign up for that, or they just contact you?
Yeah, it's on our website. It's under I think it's our About Us, and then you'll see a Toys for Tots 2019. But we're also looking for just financial sponsors. There's a lot of local businesses that just want to help out. We can certainly use help with the material and the shipping stuff. Shipping costs back and forth. So
that's awesome. I think we have been putting your all's website and phone number down there So go visit the website, sign up, give them a ring if you'd like to contribute, especially to help with deferring some of those costs and maybe making it bigger so more kids can get more cool individually made toys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Michael, thank you so much for being here. I think it's an awesome, important subject that people need to know more about. But I think, like you said, I think a lot of people are intimidated. But you don't have to be. It's getting easier, right? You know, hopefully it'll be as easy as I think you made an analogy of. Hopefully it's somewhere in between a microwave and a complicated like mill.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get it more towards the microwave station, and then more people can do it. Just like a lot of people didn't think that they would be using a smartphone, and now almost everybody is. And so pretty soon you need something, you'll be able to print it out, right? Well, cool. Well, thanks so much, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for spending another part of your day with us. Hope you are having a good start to spring. Join us next week. We have Fallon Donahue in from Venture, Ohio. It's going to be another great episode. And of course, if you ever need anything, let us know. Put your posts down below. We're going to tag up a lot of the people that we mentioned in here. Go check out IC3D, all the great things that they're doing. And we will see you next week.